everyone, welcome to the third round of the Never Stop Learning online rap contest. For a full description of what the contest is about, definitely read the description below. But basically, the Never Stop Learning contest is essentially a mini workshop taught by a trainer, in this case myself or Reiner, and we teach you how to wrap an object, in this case a recess door, and it really gives you good tips and tricks. And the idea, if you're in the Never Stop Learning contest at the ISA Science Show, the winning team has a chance to win great prizes. But because we're online, you don't have that opportunity to wrap yourself. So if you saw the Wrap Institute post from yesterday, you guessed a time of how long it's going to take me to wrap this recess door. And the person who gets closest to the time wins a prize from our sponsor of this round. And the sponsor of this round is Steinel. And Steinel has come out with a brand new cordless heat gun. Awesome. Holds a charge for a really long time. Has 2 different heat settings on the back. And what I love about it is obviously you don't have that cord, so it really gives you that great mobility. So I can use it for install and for post heating, which is great. So you're going to see it featured in this video. So let's get to wrapping. So because again, this is a contest, we got our clock set up right here. And before I hit the clock, okay, again, Wrap Institute is all about wrapping right, is you have to get your prep right. So what was the prep on this recess door was obviously cleaning, taking off hardware. We're going to leave the emblems on in this case because, you know, at the Wrap Institute, we want to show you how to work around raised objects like this. So this will stay. Normally it comes off. But again, cleaning, degreasing the surface, making sure the recessed area is super clean, making sure the edges are super clean. Once your prep is good and you choose the right material, in this case it's going to be cast, then you can hit the clock. But don't hit the clock until your prep is done. So I got my tools ready to go, got everything I need in terms of cleaners, got my heat gun. So let's rock and roll and hopefully you win that prize. Let's get to it. Start it here. Awesome. So with everything prepped now, I have my material. Bring the panel over here. I'm going to set it right at the top. Put my magnet on the side, and I'm going to release the liner. And I like to release the liner underneath. And the reason I like to release the liner underneath is it doesn't expose the adhesive to a lot of dirt. So once I get this set up, I can hook it to here, and those magnets are like an extra set of hands. Tack it to here, and then I can just pull the material just to where the recessed area ends. I always want to double check, make sure the edges are good. In this case, it's a little tight here. I have a little extra here, so I can shift it back a little bit, shift it up to here, and double check again. Feels good here, feels good here. Awesome. So now I'm ready to rock and roll. Got my squeegee. I'm gonna lock it in on this top section right to here. Pull with a little bit of glass down to this section here. Lock the underside, and then I'm going to squeegee the side of the recessed area. So basically I frame the recessed area, and that's what I'm going to tackle first. If you saw round 1 of the Never Stop Learning contest, I talk about always doing the hardest bits first, because if we do the hardest bits first, it makes the other parts easier. So in this case, the hardest bit is the recessed area. So I leave the backing paper on, just if I have to pick it back up, and now I put on my application glove. And this one's nice because I don't have to use soap and water. It has special fabric that allows the glove to glide. Run my finger there, and now what I'm going to do is I got my heat gun going, and this, cordless takes just a couple seconds to get warm. I heat the material, and I'm heating it just about, I would say, 2 or 3 inches from the recessed area. Give it a burst of heat right there, and then I'm going to take my finger and form it in. Run my heat gun top to bottom, and I love how the fact that it has a good light, so I can really read the wrinkles. Come down here and form it deep into that recessed area. And you gotta get the right angle with your finger. Double check that it's in, and then come back again. Give it that burst of heat. You hear it kick back in right there. Awesome. Give it that heat. Cool. Now that it's nice and hot, I can form it in one shot, and bam. And notice that I did the recessed area first. The reason why you want to do the recessed area first is the material will kind of stretch less into the recessed area because I didn't do the flat. But if I do the flat first, I give a lot of tension to that recessed area. The flat area holds the material the strongest. So if I leave tension on the flat area, the chance of it holding is really, really high. But if I put tension in the recessed area, the chance of it failing is really, really high. So you really want to get the right sequence when you do a recessed area. So here I'm just squeegeeing the material on, overlapping squeegee strokes. And because it's flat, I can pick up my speed, which is great. Speed is nice because it gets you home in time for dinner, which is what I'm all about for sure. Cool. So now that this is set, I double check that the material's locked on all the way to the top. So now that this section is done, double check for bubbles. Ah, there we go. Cool. So you always do a bubble check before you continue. right here. I got a little recessed area here, which is don't need some heat for. Got that down nice and clean, and voila, awesome. But I do have this section right here, so watch what I do. I'm gonna get my heat gun, give it a kiss of heat, switch positions so I can really see what I'm doing. Take it inside here, and bam, super cool. Awesome, little kiss of heat, goes down nice and clean, and life is great. So now that the hardest part is done, I feel like I'm going downhill. And if you feel like you're going downhill when you're wrapping, when it feels easy, when you're wrapping something hard, that's when wrapping becomes a lot of fun, right? And that's what the Wrap Institute is all about, is teaching those good tips and tricks that help you wrap anything quick, easy, with high quality, so you can make money, especially, you know, with everything going down in the world right now. You definitely want to be in a good position to make money. And wrapping is one of the best ways to make money right now. Very popular, high growth industry. You see that I'm just forming the material in, going back and forth, leaving the backing paper on as long as I can. In this case, again, normally I would take this emblem off, it goes down nice and clean, and I got a recessed area right here. So instead of forming the film in, I'm actually going to feed it in. I always think it's safest to feed the film in, but sometimes you don't have to form it in. You can just pick the material up, feed it in nice and clean, and by feeding it in, there's no chance I stretch the film at all. So the chance of it holding for the long term is really high. So I squeeze it down, right to there, and you see this triangle shape. That's a big thing that I'm known for. I came up with that technique years ago, and I've been pushing it in the workshops is, if you see the material in a triangle shape, that allows you to shift tension, which is here, away from where the tension is, and you don't have to use heat. Super cool. So triangles are a great way of making curved areas flat and eliminating tension. So now the material's on. Cool. I got this last little section here, so I'm going to give it a burst of heat. Just relax, and now you can see the air is building up. So in this case, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to poke a hole right there, pick the material just to there, so the air can escape. So you always want to see in sections. I knew there was a little tiny section right there that I wasn't going to have to wrap, so I could use that now to form the film in. So you can see the air building up again. I pick it up just for a second, form it in right there. Cool. Now it's down nice and tight. Double check that it's down. Cool. Now, I double check for bubbles. Always do a bubble check. And the reason why you want to do a bubble check is, once I go to cut, if I have a big bubble and I've already, cut, I can't pick it back up. But if I do see a big bubble right now, I can pick it up. So now my quality is good. The material's on. Now it's time for cutting. So before I cut, I want to relax. Your job as a wrapper is to always look for tension. So I run my finger on the edge with heat. And what the heat does is, see, I talked about bubbles right there. So what the heat does is makes the material shrink. I did stretch the material a little bit. So if I heat it a little bit, it shrinks right on the edge, so there's no tension. And this helps it hold for the long term. Run my finger up to here, take the tension out right to there, get it down nice and clean. Get it wrapped around right to here, and good. And I did what I call a 360. I'm a big believer in doing 360s. I started at one point and I went around the whole edge. Now, double check that the edge is good, right to here, and just working very methodical and in a good sequential order. So now that everything's set up, put my heat gun to the side, and now I'm ready to cut. So in this case now, I click my blade. You always want to make sure your blade is extra sharp. Cool. And then you get good body position here. And in this case now, I'm actually going to cut next to the edge, and I'm angling my blade slightly away from the edge. And by doing that now, it gets a nice wraparound. You see that nice green on the edge right there, and that obviously gives me quality, but it also doesn't mean I don't have to wrap any farther than that. So the Wrap Institute, as I said earlier, we're trying to find that balance between having really high quality, but also not over wrapping. Right now, my job is to make this door green to the client. My job is not to make the back of the door green. So if you find that balance between wrapping enough and also wrapping enough that it doesn't fail, doesn't lift, and it's definitely not going to lift because I did good cleaning, I did good prep, and I relax the material before cutting, this allows me to kind of cut nice and clean. And I have that quality. Cool. So now that I've done that sequence, watch. I'm now going to come at the top, and a little beat up section right here, and angle my blade out. And my job with my freehand right now is to pull the material and create that nice even tension. Come back down to here, slow down on the corner right to there. Once I slow down on the corner, then I can speed up on the flat. I see some wrinkles coming up here and some curves, so I slow down for that so I don't jump off. Angle my blade, back in, come down here, get my freehand, make some adjustment, slow down on the corner, angle my blade out, and speed up on the straight. I got another corner coming up here. So your job, almost like when you're wrapping, it's like driving a car. You want to make sure that you're looking ahead. If you see any trouble spots coming, definitely don't want to be on your cell phone texting or watching a Wrap Institute video. But maybe, but not while you're driving. So if you're a passenger, cool, but not while you're driving. So you always want to look ahead, see that tension. Now here, watch. I'm coming down to a big curve right to here. Once I get to this curve now, I'm going to shift body positions. And having the right body position is critical, and also having the right knife. So in this case, I got a really cool knife. It's plastic, and I can push it right on the edge so it doesn't jump off. And done. So now that I've cut everything out, I can pick up the excess material, and I'm going to set it right in the trash. And now the next stage of cutting is done. So what do I want to do? I want to do what I call seal the deal. Very important to seal the deal. So I'm going to get the heat gun, and I'm just going to do that loop again. Go from the outside, set the edges up, come back to here, make sure all the edges are down. And then the final stage is check for bubbles one more time. See one right here. And then what I want to do is I want to make sure that I heat the material in the recessed area and get it to a specified temperature. So normally I'd use an IR heater, but in this case, watch, I'm going to actually raise the heat level on this one, because you can do 300, but I can also do 500, make it extra hot. So here I want to make it extra hot. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slowly go around this recessed area and make sure that adhesive is nice and tight. You hear it pick back up. And this is really critical for long-term durability. Getting that sweet spot, making sure it sticks. I can feel the heat, nice and hot. And again, super cool that it's getting that much heat from our cordless heat gun. And I'm going around every recessed area and making sure it's nice and toasty. Come back here, even to this one. Come back to here, get it down. Get those bubbles out right there. And then do this last one here. And cool, all right? So now all the edges are sealed. The recessed area is nice and hot. It's gonna hold for the long term. And I got a really good quality install. I'm gonna cut out these handles, finish it, put the door handles back on, and door's done. Pretty cool stuff. So this is your mini workshop. I'm gonna stop the clock and 11 minutes and 28 seconds. So hopefully, you won this prize. So if you guessed 11 minutes and 28 seconds, you just won the new Steinel cordless heat gun, which is super, super cool. So great heat gun. And I hope you enjoyed round 3 of the Never Stop Learning contest. For me, I love this contest because it's not super stressful. It's not like, top rappers going head to head. It's just about learning, having fun, and the chance to win great prizes. So hope you learned how to wrap a recessed area. And if you were a rapper, you got new tips and tricks. If you're a beginner, hope it gives you strong fundamentals. And again, I highly recommend that you get a membership on the Wrap Institute, monthly or annual memberships, because our slogan is never stop learning. We're always coming out with new videos and content to keep fresh and real. Thanks for watching. Justin Pate.